So Frank Bache is already with me on the stage. He's the Managing Director of the Rubicon project, and I think we're going to be hearing about publisher alliances, Frank, broadly.
Right. Thanks for the introduction. Great to be here. Probably some of you know my former boss, Jay Stevens. He was the one who should have been here today, but after 7 years, he decided to leave Rubicon project. I think that's fine after 7 years in this industry. So now it's me, and I want to talk about some trends in the programmatic advertising world. And I want to focus on publisher alliances. So the question is, does anybody of you have heard of publisher alliances? I hope so. But let me start with some numbers. Let's talk about programmatic, and I would like to give you a brief overview. How does the programmatic world look like nowadays? So currently, we are seeing that we have a programmatic share in digital advertising of around 31%. And if we look at 2019, and these numbers are from eMarketer, we expect to see that half of all the digital spend is being traded programmatically. And I think that's an interesting and important number. So you see in which market you are coming from. And I heard that there are people from more than 40 nations here. So programmatic will be a huge impact, will have a huge impact on you and your market. And what you can also see is on the right side that there is a display, so the traditional display advertising, that the increase that we have seen over the last years is going down a little bit. So that's a red line that you can see on the right side. And the reason is quite simple. We are seeing that also in programmatic, there is a big shift from desktop to mobile. Yeah? And as you can see, if you look on the right side, where you can see the numbers for 2019, so you can see that half of the programmatic dealed impressions will come through mobile devices. Yeah? And then you can also see the split between mobile video and mobile banner. But as I said, 50% of the ad spend, programmatic ad spend will come from mobile. So I think that's a huge important change over the following years that we are going to see. And just to give you some more insights, what does it mean for you? I mean, this is overall quite positive. Numbers are picking up. Numbers, we can see a lot of growth in this. But where is the growth going to? And if you look at this number, I think that's quite important for all of you to understand. What we are seeing is that all the big global players, I'm not talking about the publishers, I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about the global players like Google, like Facebook, like the big Chinese one, like Tencent and others, they're going to have a market share of 65% in digital ad spend. So this money does not go to you. This money goes to, goes to all the big global competitors, as you can see in this list. And it's a list of 17 global publishers, and they're going to get a market share of 65%, around 65%. Yeah, so that's something where I think we all need to react and have to work on strategies. And here on the left side, that's the last number that I would like to share with you is, here you can see who are the growth drivers, who is growing in this industry. And you can see especially some of the big upcoming Chinese players, like, as I said, Tencent and others. Those are the ones who are gaining market share over the following years. And these are the ones who will also be a challenge for all of you guys to make sure how can you monetize your inventory, whether it's desktop, mobile, or video inventory. But here you can see these are the big companies, or the companies that are going to grow over the next years. Facebook for sure is one of them, but I mean also Google, as you can see, already having a huge market share of around 30% and even more. So what's the idea? What's happening? What are publishers currently doing to face this ongoing challenge? And that's what I wanted to highlight and what I wanted to focus. It's about founding corporations. It's about founding alliances where publishers in countries all over the world work together to find a better way how to monetize their inventory in the programmatic world. And as you can see, and this is a map of those corporations that have been founded over the last 2 or 3 years. And as you can see, there are currently around 15 corporations in different markets. And as you can see, it's quite diverse. Whether it's probably the biggest one is the Pangaea Alliance, where CNN, The Guardian, the Financial Times, and Reuters are working together. A huge alliance. They all together have a reach of 110 million unique users per month. And I'm going to talk about the idea behind this, but that's probably the best known. But also La Place Media in France, more than 250 publishers working together under one umbrella of La Place Media, selling their inventory programmatically to buyers. But also smaller ones, yeah? As you can see, and as I said, it's a global development. It's something that's happening all over the world. We have one in New Zealand, for example. We just recently started to work with an alliance in Argentina, yeah? South Africa. We also in Eastern Europe have some alliances like HOPEX in Hungary, like CPEX in the Czech Republic. I know that there are also some discussions in Poland and other markets. So that's a current overview of all the alliances that we are seeing globally. And just to give you a short overview, we are currently working with 11 out of these 15. But I have to say probably there are even more than 15. That's the number that we are aware of. We are currently working with 11 of them. And as you can see, when have they been found? And as you can see, La Place Media was one of the first ones, and then it was CPEX, the one in Denmark. And you can also see that a lot of those cooperatives have been founded last year. Yeah, so that's also interesting to see that last year was a big move and a big change in the industry, and even more countries started to work with these alliances. It's quite hard to say, is there always the same type of alliance? And probably to make it a little bit easier, what's happening? What do these alliances have in common? So what is the idea? The idea is that normally premium publishers who are producing editorial content are working together in an alliance. It's about reaching mass, especially if you talk about Facebook and Google. You are facing competitors who have a really high reach in all these markets. And the idea is to combine the reach of different players to reach a critical mass of, most of the time for many of these alliances, it's around 70%, whether it's La Place Media in France, whether it's CPEX in the Czech Republic, or also Ad Audience here in Germany. So they all have a market reach of around 70%. And then, most important, it's about collecting data. Yeah, the idea is to make sure that you bring in the assets of all these different publishers together, and all of them, they are also using a DMP. So this is from a technical point of view, where and how you can collect your data. So all of these alliances are also using a data management platform. I don't know whether you heard yesterday Jana Moser from Springer. She told about Springer's strategy. So if you have a chance to get her presentation, or if you're interested, I think it would be interesting to see how publishers are working to really make sure that they bring together all their data. And then what they all did, they founded an external entity. Yeah, that's the only way how you can do it. If you have different shareholders, they are all publishers. The only way to steer this is to form an external company, and that's what they did. So the publishers, they are the shareholders of this company. And also, I think that's also for sure, how can they increase efficiency? Normally they start with quite small teams, 3, 4, 5 people, but they can drive a lot of revenue because, programmatic means there is a lot of scale in this business, so you don't have to build big teams. What are the key learnings if we talk about the setup that I have tried to describe? What's essential? You need a strong leader. You need somebody who is really running this team, who is really in the market, making sure that he is talking at events like this. But it's also about investing in the team and in marketing. Yeah, you need to have your own website. You need to have the presence in all these national marketing activities, exhibitions, but something like the Mexico and others. And then what's also important from an organizational point of view is you need to have dedicated resources on the buyer and the seller side. So it doesn't make sense if you have people who are selling the inventory, you have to make sure that you are in contact with the agencies who at the end are the ones who have to buy your inventory. So make sure that you have also people on the buyer side who are working with the agencies so that they know what kind of inventory can you buy. That's really key. As I said, you can launch with a small team of probably 2-3 people. Yeah, you need somebody who's responsible for the technique, somebody who's responsible to work with the publishers and all the inventory, package the inventory, but you also need somebody who's working with the agencies. And then I think that's also important, depending on the organizational setup, bring some expertise from the shareholders, from the publishers to this new entity. I think that's important, but also the other way around. Yeah, make sure that, especially within your alliance, you are also able and willing to share your knowledge with the publishers. So that has to be work in both directions. Yeah, more learnings that we have seen. I think it's important. I mean, in the past, the alliances all start to sell desktop inventory programmatically. But this is currently going to change. As you know, I mean, mobile is becoming more important. You have seen the numbers. We're going to see 50% of the digital ad spend will be mobile in 2019. Video is really picking up. A lot of publishers are working on video content. So make sure that the alliance does not only sell desktop inventory. The alliance also should be able to sell mobile and video inventory. And if you talk to somebody like us, we will be able to handle this, but also our beloved competitors. And then you have to make sure that you have a clear market offering. Yeah, so what do you sell? What kind of inventory do you sell? Do you sell remnant inventory, premium inventory? What kind of placements? What kind of formats? Visibility is something which is important for a lot of buyers. So please make sure that you know what are you selling. And that can be a huge issue because you have different publishers, probably with a different kind of editorial content, with a different perception about the quality of their content. So you have to find compromises, especially in the beginning, to start this business. And then one other important fact is, how do you present your inventory? So what's happening? You present your inventory on a marketplace. I'm going to show you a screenshot in a minute how this marketplace looks like. And the question is, how do you present yourself? Are you willing? Do you want to present your brand? Do you want to say, what kind of inventory do you offer? Yeah, is it the brand from one of the shareholders, or do you say,